Well, good afternoon, East Alabama and West Georgia. Dr. Don in here with you. It is 6:23 p.m. Central, 7:23 p.m. on the eastern side of the time zone. And, I know this has been a little bit different this afternoon. I was actually involved in something, and I could not get away. So I thought it would be better to show you the radar with the alerts scrolling at the bottom of the screen versus not having anything at all. So that's what we did. Yeah, and as we go throughout the summer months,
new information. This severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
all right, that's for Montgomery. That's for Montgomery County. But what we may do this. We may do this more often during the summer months, because here's the deal. There's a chance of strong thunderstorms just about every afternoon from now until October. It would be absolutely impossible for me to go live every single time we have strong thunderstorms. But what we may be able to do is put the radar up with the scrolling text at the bottom of the screen. And I've still got a little bit of work that needs to be done on the scrolling text. I understand it didn't update as often as it should have over the last hour or so. We'll get that worked out. But I think that's probably the way we're going to handle the summertime thunderstorms. Now, when we get back into the fall months where we have organized severe weather, when there's actually a threat of tornadoes, then we'll do it like we always do it with live wall-to-wall coverage. So a lot of questions in the chat room about where's he at. I can't hear him. We were just giving you the radar and the alert scroll at the bottom of the screen over the last hour or so. Actually, about the last 2 hours. All right, so while I'm in here, though, let me give you kind of an update on what's going on at the moment. We've had some pretty strong thunderstorms across East Alabama and West Georgia this afternoon. And this radar loop is not cooperating either. So let me switch to a different one. Let's switch to Atlanta. There we go. That's current. And that kind of gives you a look at what's going on out there at the moment. We have a special weather statement for extreme southeastern Heard County and southwestern Coweta and extreme northeastern Troup. And then we have special weather statements over in Coosa County, actually a couple of them. We have a special weather statement in the northwest corner of Coosa and in the central and southeast side of Coosa County. And then we have a new severe thunderstorm warning up there in Bibb County. That's probably going to end up, the worst part of that is definitely down in the southern part of the county. And that's probably going to end up in Autauga County and then maybe down in Selma. But as you can see, I'll zoom out so you can see the big picture, and we'll switch it back to Birmingham right quick. We do see a lot of activity primarily across central Alabama and then that cluster of storms in Tallapoosa County. And that Birmingham radar just doesn't want to cooperate. Okay, back to level 2. We got it now. So for the most part, I think you got a strong thunderstorm right there on top of Roanoke as well, if that's correct. Stand by. We're having all kind of data issues, and the problem's not on my end this time. Okay, that does appear to be correct. So you got heavy thunderstorm rolling through Roanoke. Now, that won't last long. You got about 10, 15 minutes, and that thing will be done. Special weather statement now for central and eastern Troup County, including the city of LaGrange. And you have a special weather statement up there in Carroll, Hurd, and Coweta. That's for that line of thunderstorms that's already moved through Carrollton. It's headed toward Grantville and Noonan and Peachtree City. Actually, right there on top of Noonan as we speak. Strong thunderstorm in southeastern Randolph County. No special weather statements on this, but it stretches from western Hurd down through Roanoke and then into northern Chambers to a point just west of 5 Points. That's also moving to the east-southeast. Then things look a little bit better down in Tallapoosa, except for the extreme southern part. Strong storm there just northwest of Notasulga. That's moving into western Lee County and about to move into Tallahassee. So that's kind of a quick look at how things look this afternoon. Power is out on Louanna Road in Roanoke, on the western side of Roanoke. Thank you, guys. I appreciate the kind comments. If you didn't hear me when I first came on, we've been kind of in automation mode for the last couple of hours, and still got some tweaking that's got to be done. And just like that, the scrolling right there says there are no alerts for East Alabama and West Georgia. That's not necessarily true. That's got to be fixed. So I've got a few things I've got to work on. We'll get that worked out. So again, strongest storms. There are no alerts in effect in our coverage area in East Alabama, but there is in West Georgia. We have that big thunderstorm coming into LaGrange, and then we have those storms moving into Coweta. The storms over in Hurd County. And those will eventually probably skirt right along the northern end of Meriwether County as well. And that is a special weather statement for Carroll, Douglas, South Fulton, Hurd, Coweta, Troup, and Meriwether. So the weather service is going...
Warning, a new special event has been reported.
And that's down in southwest Alabama. Monroe, Conecuh, and Butler, that is a special weather statement as well. So the National Weather Service is going to include this entire area over here in West Georgia in a special weather statement. Now, we are below severe limits. We're not looking at significant severe weather here, but if you're in this area, these storms are moving in this general direction. And the Weather Service out of Peachtree City is just going to go ahead and do a blanket special weather statement for all of these counties over in West Georgia. What about Roanoke later on tonight? Well, welcome to the What About Club, by the way. Yeah, we'll watch this stuff over in central Mississippi, but the atmosphere's been raked over pretty good there in Roanoke and Randolph County with this line that's been slowly moving through over the last hour or so. So I'm not sure there's going to be a whole lot of instability left to work with when this stuff makes it out of Mississippi. But we'll see. Yes, John, we are live on Facebook right now. As far as I know. Should be. Facebook and YouTube. Sitting in the dark on Louisiana Road. That ain't cool. Need to get in touch. With ICS, Integrated Contractor Services. There's their number. Get one of those Generacs. Get one of those whole home Generac generators, and then you don't have to worry about it. I'm getting one for Christmas, in case you didn't know. But, John, I highly encourage you to watch us on YouTube. Well, you don't have to watch us on YouTube, but I do encourage you to subscribe to YouTube. To the YouTube channel, because YouTube gives what's called a push notification when we go live. You're guaranteed to get that. Facebook uses this funky algorithm, and if you don't interact with Dr. Don's weather just about daily, then you're not going to get notified immediately when we go live to cover severe weather. And that goes for everybody. You can watch us on Facebook, but you need to go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe to Dr. Don's Weather so you'll get that push notification instantly when we go live. If you don't do that, you may miss something. I get text messages all the time. Why am I getting notified about a storm that was 3 days ago from Dr. Don's Weather? Well, that's because of the way Facebook works. It is not conducive for timely events such as weather. Keep hoping they'll change that, especially for news and media, but so far they hadn't done it. Big thunderstorm there in southeastern Randolph County. No weather advisories for this, but you can see it right there. Big cell blew up just south of Roanoke about 5 minutes ago. Probably with some hail in that. A very strong cell now just north of Standing Rock. Extreme southeastern Randolph County, northeastern Chambers, northwestern Troop. Highway 109, a horrible ride from Roanoke to LaGrange right now. And then we have the special weather statement that Peachtree City has issued. Probably should have had one for Randolph and Chambers, if you want to be honest about it. But this part of the storm is about to exit Alabama into Georgia, so I guess Birmingham has elected just to let it go. We see that quite often across East Alabama. I never have quite understood that. But we do have a special weather statement in effect, which covers the city of LaGrange, Hogansville, Moreland, Peachtree City, Palmetto, Noonan. For this entire line in Georgia. Alabama, nothing. But the storm is just as strong there, just south of Roanoke, as it is anywhere else. Still got a lot of rain in central and southern Tallapoosa County, northern Coosa, southeastern Coosa, northern Elmore. Yeah, lots of lightning with this thing. Uh, 111 strikes in the last 3 minutes, and the majority of that is right there. 111 in the last 3 minutes. Thing is really bowed up right there in southeast Randolph, northeast Chambers, extreme southwest Hurd, and northwest Troop. Now, that thunder and lightning is going to be east and south of you, Roanoke. The rain is about to end right there in Roanoke. You're right on the backside of all this. You're hearing a tremendous amount of thunder. Ain't no question about that. From Roanoke back to the southeast, down there around Macocius Mill. If you're traveling 109 from LaGrange to Roanoke or from LaGrange west on 109, you need to find somewhere to pull off and let this thing pass you. You don't want to drive in it.
A new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued.
All right, that's Crenshaw County down in South Alabama. Right now we have a severe thunderstorm warning for Crenshaw County in South Alabama. Special weather statement.
New information. This severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
And that's for Montgomery. We have a special or severe thunderstorm warning for Crenshaw. We have a special weather statement for Carroll, Douglas, South Fulton, Hurd, Coweta, and Troop. Special weather statement for Conecuh and Butler. That's in South Alabama. Special weather statement for Dawson and Forsyth in Georgia. And a special weather statement for North Fulton and DeKalb in Georgia. Dime-size hail in 5 points, 3 miles south of Welch. That's it's right in this area. Yeah, if you're at Standing Rock and you're looking back to the north, this is what you see. And it most likely looks pretty wicked. Hey, Rodney, thank you. Let me run up here to the North Georgia mountains for just a second because I hear rain hitting the roof. Oh, it can't be much because the studio's right there. Okay, I just wanted to check that right quick. Now you'll see multiple severe thunderstorm warnings down here in central Alabama. Let's look at that right quick. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for Pike, South Montgomery, Butler, and Crenshaw in Alabama. So if you're in those areas down there, pretty nasty thunderstorm. The core of it now is just east of I-65. Still some pretty heavy weather west of I-65 between Greenville and Evergreen. All of this will be crossing over I-65 in the next 35, 40 minutes. These storms are moving pretty slow. That's just an ugly-looking thunderstorm right there. And LaGrange, that thing's headed right straight towards you.
A new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued.
And that is going to be for Pike County in south central Alabama. All right, so we're looking at the velocity product on this storm coming across northern Chambers. And you can see right there we've got some wind at about 50 miles per hour just north of 5 points. And that's where that reported hail was just a few moments ago. Right there is where the heaviest wind would be. And that's moving in this direction.
Warning, a new special event has been reported.
And that is a new special weather statement for Gwinnett, DeKalb, and Rockdale in Georgia. So that's where the heaviest wind is. It's just crossed over 431, just north of 5 points, and it's moving to the east. You folks over here on West Point Lake, especially if you're up there around the 109 bridge, you need to be in a safe place. And in your vehicle under a bunch of trees or a camper or RV is not the safe place where you need to be. This wind is going to continue moving right due east, right along Highway 109, right into LaGrange. Right there. Weather conditions should be improving in Roanoke now.
Warning, a new special event has been reported.
All right, that's a special weather statement up here in northeast Georgia. Well, let me switch to Atlanta because I'm not seeing it. Let's see. Okay, that looks a little better. So this is for just a very small part of southern White County, really south central and southeastern White, and then eastern Hall, and then portions of Banks County and northern Jackson County. And this is moving boy, that thing just blew up right there. Wow. It's moving east. So if you're up here northeast Georgia, special weather statement, south central and southeastern White, eastern Hall, western Banks, and extreme northern Jackson County for a storm that's moving off to the east. Also, special weather statement for East Atlanta, Unana. And special weather statement continues for multiple counties. From extreme eastern Carroll all the way down to Troup County near LaGrange. No question, the heaviest part of this is in Chambers County, Alabama, with nothing from the National Weather Service. Yet the National Weather Service in Peachtree City has issued a special weather statement for that same line of storms. Weather improving in Roanoke. Weather improving in Pennon. Lafayette, you're going to get off pretty good here because the heaviest part of this is well to your north. Though it's not a good ride up 431 up into Randolph County at the moment. Horrible ride from LaGrange to Standing Rock and Roanoke. And if you're at Holiday Park, you need to be in your safe place. Heavy wind moving into that area. Lots of thunder and lightning. Very heavy rainfall. Just not safe to be on the lake or outdoors right now if you're over here on the north end of West Point Lake. I hear you, Haley. And we're just trying it out. I thought that might help get attention because a lot of folks don't watch us and listen to every word we say, and they don't stay glued to their phone or the television the entire time.
New information. This severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
As for Crenshaw County in South Alabama, a lot of folks don't intently watch us. They just kind of got us going in the background. So I thought the alert tone might help get attention. But hey, we're testing it out. We can certainly turn it off. It's not that hard to do. We're just trying to see how it's going to work. Most of Heard County looks okay. Let me get back to the map. From Franklin south, you've still got some pretty heavy rainfall. And there's a small piece up 100 back up towards Central Hatchie. But for the most part, western Heard, northern Heard, okay. The special weather statement that's in effect is for the extreme southeastern portion of Heard County. And I got to tell you, that part of the storm doesn't look that bad. There's no question here, I don't think, based upon what I'm looking at, that the heaviest part of this storm is right there, and the absolute heaviest part is right there. And that is moving directly toward LaGrange. Thanks, Billy. Yeah, it does get your attention. I have selective hard of hearing issues. So I'm told. Spalding County is reporting that they had a house struck by lightning. Most men do. Yes, it does get your attention. No question there. All right, folks, if you're in LaGrange, be prepared for 30 to 40, perhaps 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gust, a lot of lightning, and pea-sized hail and torrential rainfall. This is pretty much coming directly at you. At the moment, we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings, but we do have a special weather statement for north and central Troup County, including LaGrange, all the way out to West Point Lake, for the possibility of 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gust. Heavy lightning, and you could pick up an inch of rain very easily from this.
Warning, a new special event has been reported.
All right, that's a special weather statement for Heard, Coweta, and Troup at 7:57 p.m. Eastern. A line of strong thunderstorms was along a line extending from central Hatchie to near Glen to State Line Park and moving southeast at 15 miles per hour. The hazard with this storm is 40 to 50 mile per hour winds, frequent cloud to ground lightning, and heavy rain. This has been indicated by radar. You can expect some pretty gusty winds with this as it moves to the southeast. Locations that may be impacted by this include LaGrange, Franklin, West Point, Central Hatchie, Corinth, that's in Georgia, Cannonville, State Line Park, Abbott's Ford, Piedmont Heights, Harrisonville, Hillcrest, Ware's Crossroads, and Long Cane. All right, folks, I'm going to take another quick break. I'm going to ride this thing all the way through Troup County. But I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Going to refresh the alerts right quick. And I'll be back with you shortly. Stay with us. All right, folks, I'm back in here with you. Let me reset. It is 7:10, almost 7:11 p.m. Eastern. 8:11 p.m. Eastern, I should say. 7:11 p.m. Central. And we are watching a pretty good-sized thunderstorm roll out of Chambers County, Alabama, into Troup County, Georgia. It is raining like crazy out there on 109 from LaGrange, Wares Crossroads, all the way back over to the Alabama state line and really up to just south of Standing Rock. So if you are traveling 109, if you're about to leave LaGrange and go back towards Chambers County, or if you're about to leave Roanoke and go toward LaGrange, I wouldn't do it. There's a copious amount of water out there on the roadway. Hey, Digital, where is Cannonville? Anyway, I'm not sure I know exactly where that's at. Tornado? I don't see a tornado warning for anybody around these neck of the woods. Okay, so Cannonville is between LaGrange and West Point. Cool. Is that close to where the tornado hit down there just north of West Point several years ago? Or is it north, back up toward LaGrange? Around the Kia plant. Okay, I got you. That's pretty close to where the tornado was.
New information. This severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
That was for Pike County, Alabama. All right, where's Lexington Park? There are no tornado warnings on the board. In Maryland. Oh, well, okay. That would explain why I don't see it, because we cover East Alabama and West Georgia. But still don't see a tornado warning up there. This shows tornado warnings for the entire United States, and I don't see anything up there. Nope, don't see it. Okay, I saw a severe thunderstorm warning down there in that area that you're talking about. That may be a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado tag. Some areas treat that as a tornado warning, and they will activate on that. But I did not see a straight-up tornado warning. It just expired. Okay. Yeah, that's possible. That's a nasty-looking storm down there. And this is a slow mover over here in West Troop. This thing is just creeping out 109. Autumn, not really. I mean, anytime you have a strong thunderstorm, you can never completely rule out that possibility, ever. But this type of environment, I mean, this is summertime afternoon, heat of the day type thunderstorms. Typically, you don't get tornadoes from this type of weather. But never say never. It's certainly, it's always possible, because here's why. To be a thunderstorm, it rotates. I mean, all thunderstorms rotate. So when you have a cloud that's rotating, then that does cause veering in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And it is possible to get a tornado, especially a quick spin-up tornado. But not very likely in this type of setup. The biggest danger is the gusty wind, which can bring down trees, which can cause all kinds of problems, and the lightning. And there's certainly plenty of lightning with this storm. All right, I got my peach iced tea going on here. I done got addicted to these things. They're pretty good. Atlanta Digital, where'd you send it? Send it to me on Messenger. Probably got some street level flooding west of LaGrange as well. Down 29, down there by the dam. 109, most likely. Do yourself a favor. Do not drive into this. I mean, this is very heavy rainfall with a tremendous amount of lightning. Though I'll say this, the lightning output has diminished significantly over what it was about 30 minutes ago. We're only looking at about 5 bolts of lightning in the last 3 minutes in this frame. Most of that's right there between Wares Crossroads and Gabbettville. EJ says that flooding is definitely present. I mean, we're looking at 60 dBZs there. That means the water column or the column of rain is almost completely 100% saturated, which means it would be like standing under, if you know what a deluge gun is on a fire truck. That's about what we're looking at. Getting rough at Amity Campground.
Warning, a new special event has been reported.
All right, that's for North Fulton, Gwinnett, South Fulton, DeKalb, Rockdale, Walton, Clayton, and Henry counties in Georgia. That's a special weather statement. At 8:21 p.m., a line of strong thunderstorms was along a line extending from East Point to Snapfinger to near Snellville and moving to the southeast at 20 miles per hour. Up to 40 mile per hour wind and frequent cloud-to-ground lightning and very heavy rainfall can be expected. Again, that's North Fulton, Gwinnett, South Fulton, DeKalb, Rockdale, Walton, Clayton, and Henry in Georgia. I don't have my camera turned on. Y'all don't want to see me right now. I've been on the vacay for the last week and a half, and I look like Grizzly Adams, if you older folks know who that is. It is pretty rough. Again, we're watching this storm just west of LaGrange, just now barely beginning to move into LaGrange. I mean, rain rate should have picked up pretty significant there in downtown LaGrange. And this storm not as strong as it was. We're looking into it now, and earlier we had some 40 to 50 mile per hour winds up at about 2,000 feet, 1,500 feet in the atmosphere. Now we're seeing, there's a 26. There's a 30. So we're probably looking at about 20 mile per hour wind gust at the ground, 20 to 25. So we were at 35 to 40 now.
Warning, a new special event has been reported.
And that's for Coffee and Dale County down in southeast Alabama. But the winds have come down probably about 10 miles per hour over the last 15 or 20 minutes or so. Still respectable, but the trend is downward instead of intensifying. So that's good. Let me probe that last volume scan we're still around 30, 35 miles per hour. Again, understand that's not at the ground. That's at about 1,500 to 2,000 feet. So you got a pocket there between Holiday Park and Gabbettville, and then another one just south of Ware's Crossroads of the heavier winds. Yeah, we did the Gatlinburg thing last week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, came home on Wednesday and played in Northeast Georgia Thursday and Friday. And then took a little mini trip down to Douglasville to swap the kids out on Saturday. And I've been working on the honeydew list in this incredible heat. And I think I have, not that I don't need to, because I certainly do, but I think I've lost about 10 pounds in the last 2 days. Though we just went and had supper, so I probably gained it back. All right, so we're going to watch this for another 10 minutes or so, and if there's no uptick in this activity, we're probably going to call it a night. I'll zoom back out, and you can see that just light to moderate rain there south of Griffin. We still have that one special weather statement that stretches from Heard County, extreme southwestern, Coweta County, down into Troop, all the way down to West Point. And then we have just light to moderate rain there in southern Tallapoosa, western Lee, eastern Elmore, and then some bigger storms south of Montgomery, down around Troy, down in Pike County. Some pretty big thunderstorms just south of Troy all the way down to Brantley. And we have that special weather statement for Coffee and Dale. That's northern Coffee. That's just north of Elba. And then just a little bitty sliver.
Warning, a new special event has been reported.
And that's going to be for northeast Georgia. That's a special weather statement for Habersham, Stevens, Franklin, and then in South Carolina, Oconee Mountains and Greater Oconee. That's for a line of strong thunderstorms. But as I was saying before, Mr. Atomic Bomb Alert guy interrupted me. Special weather statement for northern Coffee County, north of Elba, north of Enterprise, and just a T90 sliver of Dale County up there in the northwest corner, just northwest of Ozark. And that's it.
New information. This severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
And that's an update on the severe thunderstorm warning for Pike County down here south of Troy. You're looking back into Mississippi, there's some more rain over there, but those are not strong thunderstorms. Let's go to Jackson, Mississippi for just a minute. That gives us a little better look at it. I mean, we have a couple of special weather statements down here around Hattiesburg. That is moving toward Mobile. The stuff that might eventually move into central Alabama and east Alabama later on tonight, at the moment, does not look significant at all. And as we lose the heat of the day, I would not anticipate this stuff to intensify. As a matter of fact, it should be weakening even more so than it is now. Understand, this stuff in central Alabama was over here in Mississippi earlier today. So it raked over the atmosphere pretty good. So now this second batch really doesn't have a whole lot of instability to work with. Well, the same thing's playing out over here in Alabama. We got these storms here in Alabama, and you can't see all of them, especially the West Georgia stuff, because we're looking at the Jackson, Mississippi radar. But this stuff is working over the atmosphere across Alabama and Georgia, so it stands to reason that when the activity we see in Mississippi and back into Arkansas and Louisiana makes it into central Alabama, and later on this evening, much later on this evening, west central Georgia, it's not going to have any instability to work with. So I would not be overly concerned about that. Yes, there may be some claps of thunder, and there may be some rain approaching the midnight hour tonight across Alabama and Georgia. But I don't anticipate anything severe. I think the severe threat, which was marginal at best anyway today, has pretty much subsided for all of our East Alabama and West Georgia counties, with the exception maybe of Troup County, and the Weather Service just dropped that special weather statement. So you see the message that's scrolling at the bottom of the screen. There are no alerts for East Alabama or West Georgia at this time. So, with that, and let me say this. Augusta, Georgia. Well, let me run over there to Augusta. And let's look at you from Atlanta. Look at you from Columbia. Yeah, nothing. There's some storms down there in southern South Carolina, but they're should be moving away from you, so I really don't see anything around Augusta. It's probably pretty warm over there, if I had to guess. I'm not far from you. I'm up here in northeast Georgia. I'm up here in White County. It's about a 2.5 hour drive to Augusta from where I stay. So here, hey, back to the good news. After all this stuff gets out of here later on tonight, I got a pretty good 4th of July weather forecast for you. We're talking virtually, but not completely, no chance of rain. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, even into Saturday. Maybe our next chance of rain pops back up on Sunday. So we may be unusually dry on the 4th of July for fireworks. You know, normally we have to dodge raindrops and thunderstorms to get those fireworks in. And that may not be the case this year. It's looking like it's going to be dry. It's going to be hot. Now, Thursday, we go to 90 degrees across East Alabama and West Georgia. You're welcome, Dennis. Hey, Maw Maw. Maw Maw is in Augusta, Georgia. So I think the 4th of July forecast is looking good at this point. Now, this front that you see coming through Alabama and Georgia, you see that purple line right there? That thing is going to continue pushing southeast. And it's going to push all the way down into the Gulf of America. And it's going to be draped across the area, something like so. Somewhere along that front, we believe we're going to get a low pressure to form. And it's going to move off to the east-northeast.
New information. This severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
I'm about tired of that, dude. That was an update on the Pike County severe thunderstorm. So what's going to happen is about maybe 75 to 100 miles either side of this low pressure, if it forms down here in the Gulf, we're going to see a copious amount of rain come maybe Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So 4th of July ain't looking real good in that area. It could be very wet down there on the beach. Now, if you've got reservations, you got plans, you're going to the beach for the 4th of July, and a lot of folks do, I wouldn't change a thing, but be weather aware. You're not going to have to worry about tropical weather, but you are going to have to worry about the potential of a lot of rain down here, especially from Tampa back up to Apalachicola. Panama City is questionable. Pensacola is questionable. Gulf Shores is questionable. All those points, there's a big, huge question mark right now. But pretty sure between Apalachicola and Tampa is where at the moment, it has the best chance of getting up to a foot of rain from this system that's expected to form in the northeast Gulf of America. Now, it hasn't formed yet, so there's always that chance that it doesn't, but it looks pretty likely. Yeah, Ryan does a good job too, Mama. But the thing about Ryan is he's pretty much nationwide, so it's kind of hard for him to get street level like I do for East Alabama and West Georgia, but he does a good job. He is very good at what he does. All right, folks, so there's what you got. We've lost all special weather statements for East Alabama and West Georgia. I don't anticipate any more strong thunderstorms for the rest of the evening for most of our coverage area, and it's very obvious that storm that made it over to LaGrange is fading away. You can see it there in the last couple of loops. It's beginning to fizzle out, but what's left of it still over LaGrange. You've still got some heavy rain and a couple of lightning strikes here and there. And the remnants of that will drift on over into Meriwether County. Still got some rain down around Camp Hill, some rain around Tallahassee. Some rain continues in Prattville and Montgomery. It's been raining there for about 3 hours, or at least 2. So they're getting a lot of rain down there. Big thunderstorms on the southern and southeastern side of Atlanta and out there on the eastern side of Atlanta. Big thunderstorm up here around Toccoa in northeast Georgia. And we do have some scattered, pretty nasty-looking storms north of Rome over toward Calhoun, then up into southwest North Carolina. All that will drift on off to the east, southeast. So if you're up here in White County, back over toward Lumpkin County, Dahlonega, Helen, even down to Gainesville, we probably have another shower or two to go before all this stuff ends in the next couple of hours. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you. If you joined us in the very beginning and I wasn't on talking, but you were watching the radar and you were seeing the scroll at the bottom of the screen, that's something we're testing and looking at doing during the summer months when we, literally have a chance of strong thunderstorms every single day, heat of the day type pop-up thunderstorms. We're looking at ways to be able to just leave the radar up and scroll the alerts at the bottom of the screen, because there's just virtually no way, until I retire, which isn't that far away, there's virtually no way for me to actually be on live with you every single time we have strong storms. Now, obviously, organized severe weather in the fall and in the spring is a different story, because that's where the tornado threat is the greatest. I certainly will be with you during those events with wall-to-wall coverage. But during the summer, when we have the atmosphere just bakes to a point it can't take it anymore and it releases all of that energy in these thunderstorms, and the greatest risk is wind damage, then in those situations, we're just testing the possibility of just putting the radar up with a scroll at the bottom of the screen. Got some more bugs to work out of it. We got to work on that scroll a little bit. It didn't update the way I wanted it to. Some of the time it did. So we're working with doing some coding to make that work. That's not a program you can go buy off of the internet. This is something that I'm actually building through code, JSON, and I'm learning how to write programs too on top of everything else. This has been an interesting adventure. But anyway, just thought I'd bring that to your attention. If you see that again, where the radar is looping and you see the alerts at the bottom of the screen, but I'm not talking, that's by design. And maybe, if the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, I'll see you back in here first thing tomorrow morning with your Wednesday morning forecast. And we'll check and make sure that 4th of July forecast still looks as good as it did the last time I looked at it. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. We'll see you back in here tomorrow morning. Bye now.